Hello, it is 1:55 on August 1st, 2016, and I'm a little fired up, and I'll tell you why. It's a new month, which, as Bone Thugs and Harmony will tell you, you gotta wake up, you gotta get ready, gotta get back at the habits. So here we are on our very first Monologue Monday. I don't necessarily have a ton of things to yell about today, but of course this is just a nice way of saying hello. My name is Rafa Sparza. Some of you know me, some of you do not. I host an occasional talk show, and right now we're doing some nice live Facebook posts to just say hello to our fans, say we miss you guys, we love you, we want to do these shows for you. And obviously we have some things that we want to talk about. So if you'll excuse me, right now I'm going to go ahead and put this on the interwebs to let them know that yes, we are not only in fact live, but we will be talking about what it is you guys want to talk about today. So what I am excited to talk with you guys about today is a number of topics, including, did you guys see any of the convention coverage? It was a strange show, if we could be honest. Watching the Democrats become the party of patriotism, where they're screaming out USA and yelling for killings, it's an interesting mix. It does kind of, you gotta do one of those kind of things when you see it. But it is an interesting thing to see in terms of that. Of course, we also have Donald Trump, who very, very kindly was shown the Constitution from a family whose son had been killed and in war, and just was like, fuck that guy. So, what are you gonna do if that is the case with Donald Trump, where he is now saying it and trying to accuse the family? Not the smartest ideas to go after family members, I would say. But, what do I know? I'll say this, you guys. One of the nicest things to do about this program is we always like interacting with you. So if you have stuff that you want to talk about, hit me up in the comment section below. Let me know what it is that you guys want to talk about today, and we will make it a priority to be chatting about it here with you this afternoon. Let's start right up top, which is this. Earlier this week, we had a bunch of things going on, but I think probably the most pressing issue with Donald Trump being told that he needed to see a constitution is the fact that Donald Trump decided to then attack and character assassinate this poor old man who has lost a son. The interesting thing about this that you may want to note is that the sales for the Constitution, the very thing that the father of the fallen soldier had put up, have gone through the roof. So if there's one thing to take away, it's that, hey, at least the Constitution is winning. America, so-so. In other news, we have apparently Britney Spears has forgotten what an encounter with Taylor Swift is like. Yeah, Britney Spears says that she completely forgot what it was like running back into Taylor Swift, and that she had actually run into her years before, which is what many Taylor Swift boyfriends like to say after a relationship with her as well. I would love to hear from those of you who love T-Swift in the section below. I don't know what you refer to yourselves as. Is it T-Swizzles or Swifties? I don't really know. In other news, it seems that we have a lot of things going on. It says in Australia that they are being asked not to mark yourself as Jedi as a religion. I think that's hilarious, because if you are marking yourself as a Jedi, it's kind of hard to prove that you're not. I mean, Jedis don't necessarily readily show themselves to be Jedis all of those sorts of times, but at least there's that going on. Oh, look at this. Our good friend Ricardo says it is his birthday. Who is Taylor Swift, and can she bolo? Well, good news on one front, bad news on the other front. Good news is, happy birthday to you. Bad news is, I do not believe Taylor Swift can bolo. So it's to the best of my knowledge. It could be entirely different. I could be woefully uninformed. But yes, happy birthday to you, Ricardo. You are one of the best voices in jiu-jitsu. And I am so happy that you're spending your time here looking out at topical news with us. So happy birthday to you, good sir. And if I must say, your love of Will Ferrell, it is strong. It is deep. Okay, so getting back to this Jedi thing. If you were to identify yourself as a Jedi, I think it's interesting in that you really have to be able to yield a lightsaber. Like, I think that you have to go through a rigorous amount of tests. For example, at Disneyland here in California, they have a Jedi Academy where kids can go through a program and they can become Jedi, essentially. They basically have an instructional program, and at the very end, you get to battle Darth Vader. Now, here's my issue with this particular program for the children. They don't have this for adults. So every time I go to have a snack over in what's essentially, I believe, Tomorrowland or Star Wars Land, you're eating a burger and you're watching children get to be Jedis. Now, I think the sad part of this is, it is adorable, great, good for the kids, but I think they deeply forget. Many adults lived through Star Wars and still vicariously lived through it. And to deny them the opportunity to get that same Jedi Academy experience, I think is wrong. I think it's damn right un-American. Or un-Australian. Apparently, you have atheists who are annoying pranksters by listing Jedi as their religion for the census, which invites a wonderful discussion about religion and Australians. I hear the religions go on the other side of the road, though, over there. This is interesting. You now are being released with the information that Channing Tatum is going to star in a remake of Splash in the Daryl Hannah role, which begs the question, why? Like, I like Channing Tatum. He's wonderfully talented. I don't think I've ever looked at him and said, you know, what does he look like as a mermaid? I'm not quite sure. That's something that I'm excited to see. And I guess this is better news because he was supposed to be playing Gambit, and they can't seem to get that. Jennifer Blum, because Splash was amazing. Yes, it was. But can we take a moment to acknowledge that Splash was amazing and that we didn't need to have it rebooted? Although the lady that they have, I think that's going to be co-starring with him, she's on Workaholics. It's escaping me at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can look this up with you. She is hilarious. So if you guys get the opportunity to see her in a movie, I'm not against that. But Jennifer, thank you very much for your comment in the section below. Congratulations on competing this weekend. Good news for you. And I'm glad to hear that your teammates did well. So success all around. Which brings us to a nice point. This week we have a new episode of Verbal Tap that went up yesterday evening. So you can catch that at verbaltap.buzzsprout.com. And this week we have our good friend Brandon McCatherine, who was talking with us about his new Leg Lock Academy series. If you are so interested in the jiu-jitsu things. I don't know how many of you are. Chipotle is apparently going to open a cheeseburger, hamburger spot, which I guess is a fun opportunity to see. Have you guys gone back to the Chipotle? Because I still can't seem to convince anybody to be brave enough to do that, which is sad because I think Chipotle had a great run. I think they were a fun place to get some what seemed like okay food. But would you trust them with hamburgers? I'm curious of this. If you are, go ahead and comment in the section below. If not, please tell me why. Because it is dangerous. If they're going to open up a burger spot and you really want to eat something, like, how desperate do you have to be to get to Chipotle? Or, more importantly, are you eating Chipotle and just not telling your friends? It's okay. You can tell me. I won't tell anybody. We'll just keep it between us. I find that as we do see that is happening, so Chipotle will be launching a burger restaurant soon, and the first will be in Ohio, which, you know what? I invite that, because if you live in Ohio, it's like you're already courting death to begin with. So I think that's a match made in heaven right there. I hope that you guys aren't from Ohio, and if you are, I'm very sorry. Oh, good look. Look at this. Teddy Bridgewater honored Prince with a new Purple Rain call. Yep. It is a new line scrimmage call. Of course, I don't know how effective it could be, considering that how would you not know it's a Prince call? If you're a Prince fan and you hear someone yell out or recite a line to When Doves Cry, you just kind of know the play that's coming. As much as I love Prince, I don't think we need to honor him by having football plays marked in his honor. It brings up a series of odd tributes. It's like I'm going to be making dinner tonight in honor of Prince. This casserole is shaped in a Prince-like guitar because of my love for Prince. Love you, Prince. Oh, good Lord. The Simpsons, of course, are now mocking Donald Trump, joining the rest of us. It looks like this, and guys, brace yourselves, but Pauly D and Aubrey O'Day break up again. They are on the show Famously Single, which begs the question, they're still a thing? Are they, but why? I'll tell you this much about Famously Single. My wife actually watches it, and it's one of the what I call the trifecta of garbage television items that occupy our DVR. And Aubrey O'Day is most famous. Thank you for the thumbs up, because I firmly believe it is garbage television. Although I don't hate it as much as I hate The Millionaire Matchmaker, because I think Patty is a cancer on reality television. She's a garbage human being. So anyway, you have these people who come up there. Aubrey O'Day was famously known for being in Danity Kane, and will never let you forget that, in case you can name all of the Danity Kanes, which I cannot. But she now was on the show, and she was apparently dating Pauly D, and the first comment that people were saying was, he looked old. Which I guess begs the question, how soon is too soon to turn on the ugly lights in the bar? That's mean. I think that Pauly D seems like a nice enough guy. I just feel bad that he has to go on that particular show to make things happen for him. We've got a hashtag here that I do want to put your way, and we'll come back to it in a little bit, but is the hashtag Trump sacrifices. Now, of course, this is in reference to Donald Trump being accused by the father who was killed in war, who spoke at the National Democratic Convention last week in saying that he doesn't have any sacrifices, he didn't make any. So there were a bunch of people online who responded with this hashtag after Donald Trump said, I made a lot of sacrifices. I made a lot of jobs. I've made a lot of money. And those were sacrifices. So, yikes. Anyway, if you guys want to play along in our comment section below, let us know what you think that Donald Trump has truly sacrificed, because I may not know it all. I, for one, I know that he sacrificed Donald Trump steaks when the government told him it's not selling. That was something. He gave that up. Apparently, speaking of the MTV connection, though, again, hashtag us with this, MTV now is saying that you've got something very interesting happening on that channel. They're actually going to have an MTV Classic. So all of your favorite old school MTV shows are going to come back to a new MTV Classic channel, which begs the question, what the fuck are they doing on MTV 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and Moondos and all of those other fucking networks that corporation owns? The whole point of MTV 2 or 3 should be the fact that you have one. They have an MTV University, for God's sakes. Anyway, I don't know why it is that people feel the need to add an extra element of MTV when all we want is just the original programming. We want all of the music videos. And I don't even, somebody asked me if I've seen a music video about 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't give them a succinct answer. So, if you guys have a music video you love, please let me know, because I would love to tell you my thoughts on that, except for the fact that I do not have any videos that I can name off the top of my head. All right, moving on. I think there is an interesting thing that NBA player DeMarcus Cousins and the rest of the USA basketball team are never going to let Draymond Green hear the end of it. And by it, I guess it means the fact when he essentially just kicked somebody in the nuts just for funsies. I'll say this. No, actually, it's in reference to his not safe for work snap with his dick pic. Yes, okay. I wanted to make sure. I guess the hard part is this. If you are sending out dick pics, I think you're fair game. I think it's not wrong to, give people a little prick there, or to give them some shit. Do we really feel like there's any harm for the U.S. basketball team in this year's Olympics? Because, again, real question, are the Olympics happening? I wonder this every single day, and I'm not sure anybody has given me a succinct answer. So, yeah, Draymond Green, good luck to the U.S. men's basketball team. I hope that you don't have too much trouble taking on the team from Kyrgyzstan this year. But dick pics, yeah, okay. I guess that's fun. I love that that's trending news. I love that that makes it onto the the annals of important news for us to hear. It is also coming out that Hillary Clinton has a lead over Donald Trump right now in the polls, as per her post DNC bounce, which is what I love hearing. I love hearing people say the word post bounce. You know, post blank bounce. It's like you have a great week at work. Nobody calls it a post Jennifer bounce. Nobody calls it a post Xerox bounce. So I think that's a little unfair. I think people should be given that. Of course, this is interesting. The Michigan Wolverines, they have revealed their cleats. The Michigan football team's Jumperman / Jordan Brand cleats appear to be navy with a web design and a maize sole. So, contain your excitement at the color scheme reveal on that one. I'll explain this. Why do people... Yeah, it must be a slow news day. This is not a slow news day. This is exactly what happens on the Facebook trending. In case you don't know, Facebook was recently accused of having some bias in the algorithm of how they make these trending news things happen. So as a result, you get super soft news like this, where they literally just say, hey, look at this. Michigan has some cleats. So, A+. I don't understand the fascination with the Jumperman phase. If somebody wants to go ahead and take a stab and tell me why it is as popular as it is, I am willing to hear it. Then again, I collect gis for a living for jiu-jitsu, so I guess maybe I see my own point. I do have a shoyu roll, so maybe I do understand it. But why do people spend multiple amounts of money on this? And why is there a fascination with Jumperman? And why is there a song? I don't think I need any of this. I will say, I think it is important to note that, and I think it's also important to note that The Simpsons have once again, like I said, they have come out to discuss who they think is going to win in the election. They believe that Donald Trump is not the right candidate, and they were even spoofing the 3 a.m. call in this short that they released, a 2-minute short. So, I would say this. I don't know who I want more to answer the phone call at 3 a.m., be it Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. If I'm guessing, I think both of them would be asleep. They're a little older, so I'm not sure how fast they'll get up in the mornings. So if we're being honest, I think probably like third down on the list of the U.S. Constitution is probably going to be the one actually waking up instead of Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. But The Simpsons have parodied it, and of course they did a great job. Let's say hello. There is a nice note from Jennifer Blum that says, there is a Gee song, but let's never speak of that. Let us never speak of that song. Unless it's in mockery. Then we can talk about it. For those of you who aren't in the know, there's a thing called jiu-jitsu. I do it. And there's an individual who owns a corporation or an organization called Metamoris. And the president of this organization has also fought professionally and is quite good at jiu-jitsu, but made the interesting decision to create a rap song, because he's an artist, called G in a Gi. It is the, I guess, jiu-jitsu equivalent of MC Hammer going to Pumps and a Bump, except Pumps and a Bump is amazing. If you ever get the chance to watch that video, go look at it and laugh profusely, because Hammer going hardcore is the funniest thing of all time. Terry Swift Grace, and it is a nice show you roll too. Why, thank you, and it looks great on me, I might say. I think that I carry it quite nicely. I would say this show you roll gi that I own, which is kind of the, I guess, Jumperman of gis. Unfortunately, I have never worn it because I don't want to ruin it, which I think defeats the purpose of owning something you're supposed to wear. I guess that's just my own personal belief or opinion. So, yes, it is a nice gi. I look quite great in it. I don't know if I'll ever roll in it. I think that might defeat the purpose, but we'll see. Time will tell. Jennifer Blum, I wish I had a show you roll. Well, yeah, and I never thought I would own one. If I'm being honest, I thought I would go the rest of my life without ever having to explain to my wife why it is I need to spend like $300 on a gi, and then one just magically happened. Do you wear it just around the house? I'm not going to answer that question, but I would say there have been times when I have had the gi top on. I think I just answered your question. Yeah, if I'm thinking about it, I probably just did answer your question. So yes, I do sometimes just wear it around the house. But I'm also highly nervous to just wear it, and I'm super clumsy. Like, I have, right here, I have water in this cup. I have 2 electronic devices right here and here, but I do not keep this near any of it. I put it far away because I'm so clumsy, I would spill it on the electronic devices. So take that mentality and consider what I might do to a gi that is white. So, there's that. Between those sort of things, I think that I can tell you, yes, I have worn it occasionally around the house. I guess in other information and other news, we have found that in terms of this, if you guys haven't watched John Oliver's takedown of Donald Trump, do yourself a favor, go watch that after we get done here, of course. There's also saying, hold on, going over here, this is why going through the Facebook trending news is kind of a terrible thing when you get like caught up on all the stabbings that have happened. I think there should be a setting where you can maybe not read all of the stabbings every once in a while. But I believe that is a current roundup of several of the topics that are there. Are there any topics that you guys are watching out there or that you're saying that you would like to chat about? I'll talk to you about one in the meantime while you come up with anything you'd like for me to discuss, but here's one in particular. Over the weekend in UFC, you had Tyrone Woodley get a big upset over Robbie Lawler, and it was huge. It was so interesting to see Robbie Lawler go down. A lot of people were saying it's because he's so fight old, but it was a good fight. Props to Tyrone Woodley. But here's the interesting thing about that. Tyrone Woodley has been this guy who's like, I want the most qualified person to get a title shot. I totally want whoever's the best to get a title shot when he was raising his way up the ranks. Now when he's champ, he's like, yo, I want a money fight. And I don't blame him, because the 2 people he called out were, I believe it was Nick Diaz, and he also called out GSP. Lo and behold, today, GSP responded and said, I would also like to fight him. I think it would be good for us to fight one another because, let us face it, GSP very much misses holding title around belt. It would be very nice to look at people and say, like, hello, I'm GSP, and number 1, never forget. So I'm hoping that goes down because I think that would be a good fight. And you really have to wonder, I mean, GSP, one of his best attributes was the fact that he was a monster of an athlete. So how do you put him up against somebody who's currently a monster of an athlete? Jennifer Blum just chimes in by saying, can he take time off his Dino show? For those of you not in the know, GSP loves dinosaurs. Little known fact. It's not widely known, but GSP, he loves some of the dinos. They recently started putting out commercials for it where GSP is like, hello, I'm GSP. One thing you do not know about me is I love dinosaur. And this is my exploration into talking about a dinosaur. And he does narration, which also begs the question, who is asking for GSP to narrate anything? Morgan Freeman narrates. GSP reading copy is like, the Triceratops found its way down the street. Good job, GSP. So yes, he has found his way onto that show. Our good friend Jennifer Blum is asking, does it take time off of his Dino show, or can he take the time off? I would assume so. I would assume that his primary job is to be a fighter. I would hope he has that written in his contract, because if he can't get out of that, that would be some awkward information to share with the UFC, especially when that information finds its way back to Dana White, who I'm sure would love it, being like, you fucking telling me that you want to do these fucking dinosaurs and you don't fucking remember how the fuck to fight? Do you remember I said, so you want to be a fucking UFC fighter? No. No, I love dinos. Never mind, Dana. You can wave goodbye to my pay-per-view buys. End scene. So, hopefully, that match gets made. If not, I like Wonderboy Thompson to getting nod. I think people are going to be watching with bated breath to see how Damian Maia and Carlos Condit goes. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets mentioned in the conversation as well. But Wonder Boy is a great fighter. I think his time's due. I do wonder if they want to raise his marketability. So it may take a little while before he fully gets integrated in, but he is definitely a good fighter, and I think he might be inching toward his prime of where he should be. But it was interesting to watch live and watch him get shut down as he was asking. This is Stephen Thompson asking Tyrone Woodley, "Hey man, I'd love to fight you in a fight." And Woodley just going, "Nah. Thanks though. Appreciate it." So I find that the UFC doing that is going to make for some interesting talk. We talk a little bit about that on this week's Verbal Tap. So if you guys want to go ahead and take a look at that, that would be great. We've also found out this week that Joe Rogan is going to be doing a reduced amount of time. And reduced amount of time, that means covering the UFC. He's no longer going to do international flights. And if you guys were watching, I think you might have been quite interested to see year-to-year contract Joe Rogan, a little different than everyday Joe Rogan. 1, seemed like he was more high. 2, he was visibly laughing at Goldie when Goldie was making some claims over the weekend. And 3, I think that Joe Rogan's reached a point where he realizes how marketable he is to the UFC. He is equally, if not more important than many of the fighters on the UFC roster, which is an interesting to say when you are a broadcaster. So kudos to him. I hope he is getting boatloads of more money for this thing. But yes, he will not be doing international flight or travel. And it comes out today, and I guess this is the reason why Tyrone Woodley was calling out Nick Diaz, he has finished serving out his time that he had blocked by the Nevada Athletic State Commission. So now I guess we can see Diaz back in the ring. Is there anybody that you guys would like to see Nick Diaz fight if it's not going to be Tyrone Woodley? Because at this point, I get the fact that, yeah, he's lost some fights and he would be getting a title shot, but let's be real, people. He's got marketability and he'll sell the pay-per-view. And that's what Tyrone Woodley wants. And I don't blame him. I think you get to a certain point when you really facilitate a great career and you recognize you can't be an athlete forever, so you got to make the money while you can. Jennifer Blum wrote in, Damian Maia, I'll tell you this much. The jiu-jitsu nerd in me, with every single fiber, would love to see Damian Maia fight. However, I also love Carlos Condit. So I feel that I'm very conflicted on that one. I think if either of them makes a definitive statement at the next fight when they fight each other at the end of the month, I think we'll have a very clear idea of where the UFC is going to go in that direction. So not quite sure where exactly they're going to take it just yet, but I don't disagree. I think it's an exciting time for that set of folks. Again, kudos to Jake Ellenberger. I saw somebody posting something today that said, hey, Jake Ellenberger, why are people talking about that? Isn't it kind of classist that they brought up the fact that he was cut by the UFC and that they're now talking about him as if, that's something you should do to reveal that information, that he was cut by the UFC and then brought back in? I don't really have a problem with it. I think the story is going to end pretty well for him. I think that liver kick is going to go down on some highlight reels. So I think he's going to be all right. At the end of the day, I wouldn't get too worried about him. Also, some great stuff going on. Lance Palmer had a huge win over the weekend over in I believe, the World Series of Fighting. Yep. So great stuff going on over on that one as well. So that's a little bit of the headlines that are going on in the realm of MMA, because I know most of you guys know me from MMA. So if that is the case, again, please feel free to go ahead and chime in with anything that you'd like for us to talk about here, as we're going to start to wind down in a couple minutes. But we love checking in with you guys. We love doing these things. We are getting some breaking news right now that from the WWE, the ring announcer Lillian Garcia is going to be leaving the company to take care of her ailing father. We wish her the best. She has done some of the best renditions of the national anthem, be it in sports entertainment or in real life. So kudos to her. I'll tell you this much. I find it's going to be an interesting football season. We're about to get into football season. It's about to be a very heavy sports time. So the Olympics start next week. I think we may do some shows that are Olympic-based because I know not everybody can watch those. And I don't tend to care about the Olympics all that much. But for you guys, I can pretend to care. And one thing I am excited to see, the wrestling category. I am excited to see, track and field's always entertaining. If they happen, if the Olympics happen. So we may do some live videos covering, I guess, our reactions to that coming up pretty soon. So if you guys are so interested with that, let us know. I also want to know, does this time work for you? Because right now we pick 2 o'clock, roughly, because we figure over in the East Coast, some people are getting off of work, and we know that here in the West Coast, they are finishing up lunches. Is there a better time? Do you guys, tell me what time you want me to do this so that you can get away with doing it at work? Because I know most of you you're working right now, and your boss, they might see my face and be like, who the fuck's this guy? Totally cool. I totally know that's the deal. But we want to try and figure out a time that's going to work best for you, if we can do these continuous things on Mondays or if we switch the date. But I love starting off the week like this because it allows us to talk about everything that's going on. We know the DNC was a shit show. We know that Hillary Clinton is now the nominee. We know that Donald Trump is the worst, according to that convention. And we know that this campaign now is less than 100 days away. And one of the reasons we want to be able to do these live shows for you is to give you some form of sanity as this inane ridiculousness starts to take off. So we hope that you guys are going to be with us. You'll check in with us. But part of that is, since this is an interactive show, we want you guys to let us know what it is you are thinking, what you want to chat about, and anything else that may come to mind. Because you know what? I believe the children are the future. I believe that YouTube forums are not exactly representative of the current dialogue that happens. So if you guys want to chat, we're always welcome to have conversation with you here on this show. And before, again, we sign out, let's just go ahead and do some drop-ins. Let's go ahead and make a mention for Verbal Tap Cast. You can catch that at verbaltapcast.com or verbaltap.buzzsprout.com, or you can find Verbal Tap MMA Comedy Podcast on iTunes. Our new episode with Brandon and Catherine went up last night. It is good. We review all things UFC 201 in case you wanted to talk about those sort of issues. I'm happy to talk more UFC at any given time. But given the talk show, we talk a little bit more current events on this. I also want to go ahead and give a shout out to everybody who's been reading my articles this week. Been putting up a lot more of my clips, stuff that I've done in the past, and some new articles that I'm working on. So that is at rafesparza.com. Thank you so much for your feedback. In particular, thanks to my alma mater, Illinois State University. They put up my Michelle Obama article. Turned out watching her speech, I forgot how much I loved seeing rhetoric and seeing people speak eloquently. So there will be a lot more of that. I also today just started a new thing for my own personal development in jiu-jitsu called the Hybrid Success Challenge. So my good friend Justin Rader sent me his DVD, and for 30 days this month I am going to be doing wrestling-based tasks with that DVD with the intention of getting better at wrestling, because big secret, I'm not very good at wrestling. I do jiu-jitsu. Wrestling is a component of it. I'm not very good at it. So we're going to do a 30-day challenge for the month of August. I'm going to get some videos of me rolling. I'm going to show you guys how terrible I am at wrestling. I'm going to do some of the things that Justin outlines on his DVD. And we're going to see what happens. And all that's going to be documented on my website, rafesparza.com. So feel free to interact, send me videos that you think would be helpful, or, just tell me I suck. I completely am aware of it, so it's not like you're going to present any new information. And if you guys are watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Again, chat with us in the comments. Let us know what you guys think and how we can improve and do things, so we can continue to make this thing even more exciting and better going forward in the future. We are so stoked that you guys are joining us, and we hope that you are having a good week. Again, if you guys want to chat about particular topics, always put them in the comment section. Hey, Jennifer Blum, no thanks, you're fucking fantastic. You think Jimmy Fallon's going to do that for you? No. He's not going to look you directly in the camera and say, like, hey, Jennifer, you're fucking fantastic. No. Jimmy Fallon's going to be in the middle of like, oh, hey, I went, you guys are going to love this. I went to a big party and I didn't know. Oh, don't fuck Fallon. I like Fallon. He's fine. But I mean, definitely does this whole song and dance of like, oh man, you guys, you're so awesome, and I love everything. It's just, oh man, yeah. Anyway, so Justin Timberlake and I, we're friends, Cool story, Fallon. But yes, you won't get that at any other talk show where the host will actually curse and say something positive in your general direction. So, to all of you guys who have tuned in today, thank you so much for checking out the show. We'll be doing this once a week at the very least. Again, with the start of the Olympics, I have no idea how bored out of my head I may be writing it and covering it. So we may do some more shows live next week based off of that. And if you guys want to see me go do live remotes or the show from particular places, hit me up, because I am open to taking this little fun thing on the road. And in the coming weeks, we'll have a little bit more regimented show. We're going to do a little bit of monologues. We're going to do interviews. And we're going to get back to doing the show that you know and love very near and dear in the future. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in. This is your occasional talk show host and good friend, Rafa Esparza, saying, have a good rest of your day.